Hey, Shalom. I'd like to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahushai, Ba'ashem, Kodash. Double honors unto the apostles and elders of Great Millstone that do rule well. Our apostles, our teachers in the truth. And I say salutations unto the sincere Akiams that push this gospel to the four corners of the earth in truth and in sincerity. Here again with another impromptu video. There's the brother Ivadash, right, going into basically the Lord's Day, right? The great day of the Lord, right? Because pursuant to is Ezekiel 2 and verse 10, where he talk about lamentation, mourning and woe, and we presently in that time. We in the great day of the Lord, so it no longer will be said. Going back to 2 Peter 3 and 4 here, it's and saying, where is the promise of his coming, right? Where is the promise of his coming? That is a term widely used, by two-thirds of Jake, right? But what the scripture said, the day of the Lord cometh as a thief in the night, right? And we presently in that time. We in that time of lamentation, mourning and woe, the great day of the Lord, the day of judgment, Jacob's trouble, right? As we look at the news, things are taking place around the world. We see Esau, Edom, on the move fast. If people paying attention, all these, the reason why Trump, right, or the elites, want to push this war is to crash the system, right? Because as far as they make a petition to sign peace, a petition or a treaty to sign peace, they're always breaking it. Trump always breaking it, right? We're seeing that what the stock market's plummeting. We're seeing hyperinflation taking place, right? So we're seeing that, hey, we're not in no good times. We're not in no good times, So it's here, you go to Isaiah, Isaiah 13, I'll start from verse 6. Right? It says, "Hold ye, for the day of the Lord is at hand. It shall come as a destruction from the Almighty." And we see that, hey, things are deteriorating. We're seeing wars, rumors of wars. We're seeing the earthquakes. We're seeing, we had things like the heat wave. We had things like the fire, widespread fire that is taking place in Europe. We see the plagues of the Lord, hitting the land. And as we watch closely, we see also simultaneously, we see that prophecies happening side by side, one after the next, or simultaneously at the same time. Right? We've seen all these things are being done right before our eyes. Right? So it says here, say, "Holy, for the day of the Lord is at hand." Right? Because contrary to popular belief, people feel that that the Lord just gonna appear from the sky and X out the wicked and take everybody else, to heaven or new kingdom or wherever bullshit Christianity teach. Right? But the scriptures say that coming like a thief in the night, right? Coming like a thief in the night. It said the day of the Lord come as a destruction, right? So it wouldn't be It wouldn't be as what people like would expect it to be, right? They don't even know, they're not even in mindset, that, hey, this is the time, that the Lord visiting this place. As I said earlier on, going back to I believe it's 2 Peter 3 and 4, that proverb would no longer be in their mouth, right? We go to Zephaniah. Zephaniah 1 and 15, right? He say, I'll start from verse 14. He said, the great day of the Lord is near. It is near and hasteth greatly, right? Say, even the voice of the day of the Lord, the mighty man shall cry there bitterly, right? He said that day is a day of wrath, right? So we have here in the scriptures that, hey, the calamity, the things that is being brought up upon the earth, right? Is nothing nice. Is wrath, is destruction. The scripture described the day of the Lord as being dark and gloomy, right? Or but this is the same precept. He said that day is a day of wrath, a day of trouble and distress, a day of wasteness and desolation, a day of darkness and gloominess, a day of clouds and thick darkness. Right? So he said a day of wasteness and desolation, right? This place, if we go back to let me go back to the second, whatever, 2 Peter 3 and verse 4, right? Like I said, go to I finished verse 4. He say, and saying, where is the promise of his coming? For since the fathers fell asleep, all things continue as they were from the beginning of the creation. Right? You say, for this they willingly are ignorant of, that by the word of Yahweh the heaven were of old, and the earth standing out of the water and in the water, whereby the world that was then being overflowed with water perished. But the heaven and the earth, which are now by the same word, are kept in store, reserved unto fire against the day of judgment and perdition of ungodly men. So it say that what this present world, this present rulership, this present kingdom is reserved unto fire, thermonuclear fire, to be exact. The Lord is going to rain down judgment on this place. Beginning with America, right? Beginning with the nation of Esau, Edom, right? First, the Lord is going to judge his people for the wickedness, right? That they continue to partake in, right? A lot of jakes, they're clueless as to what is going on in the world today. They're clueless about what is going on with the economy, food, the healthcare and all these things, right? As I said earlier on, the stock market, it plummeting, right? We having inflation. Trump just announced, I believe, tariffs on, I believe it's 60 countries, right? Which Trinidad and Tobago is one of them, right? Which Trinidad and Tobago fall into that into that basket. Right? Second Ezra 16. Second Ezra 16 and verse 16, you know, and these precepts, you know, it have a lot of meat in these chapters. You know, it could read good on, right? But I just going straight to the point. It say, I'll start from verse 15. It said, the fire is kindled and shall not be put out till it consume I'll go from verse 14. He said, behold, the plagues are sent and shall not return again until they come upon the earth. Right? And we've seen these things happening. We've seen the plagues, the earthquakes. I believe just the other day, Japan get hit with I believe it's a 7.1 earthquake. Right? We've seen it have mass floodings. We have heat wave. It have rampant wildfires, you know, taking place. I believe it is in Europe side, you know. So a lot of chaos is presently going on around in the world today. Right? A lot of chaos is taking place in the world today. Right? Verse 15, it say the fire is kindled and shall not be put out till it consume the foundations of the earth, like as an arrow which is shot of a mighty archer returneth not backward, even so the plagues that shall be sent upon the earth shall not return again. Right? He said, woe is me, who will deliver me in those days? Right? Say the beginning of sorrows and great mournings, because this is only the beginning. Right? This is only the beginning. We have a lot of China just get banned, I believe, from the US, you know, concerning the robots. So we have all these things, you know, taking place. Right? You saw devices, they're bringing forth the devices. Right? They're being shown, you know, to have videos circulating, you know, with Fauci. I should say Fauci, you know? I should say Fauci. And then have videos circulating, you know, concerning certain acts that he carried out during the pandemic, right? Which, you know, Esau Edom is not being held accountable for the actions, right? So we see the world is beginning, you know, the eyes of the world is opening up to see, you know, who's the real devil, right? So it say here, you say the beginning of sorrows are great mournings, the beginning of famine and great death, the beginning of wars, and the power shall stand in fear, right? The beginning of evils, right? He said, what shall I do when these evils shall come? And it only have one thing to do, and that is to turn to Yahweh Hashem Yahshai, you know, while he may be found. That's the only way you're gonna be saved out of this, is through the Lord. Right? I'll go to Isaiah chapter 13. say this is Isaiah chapter 13 and verse 9. He said, behold, the day of the Lord cometh cruel, both with wrath and fierce anger, to lay the land desolate, and he shall destroy the sinners thereof out of it. Right? He said, for the stars of heaven and the constellation thereof shall not give their light. The sun shall be darkened in his going forth, and the moon shall not cause her light to shine. He said, verse 11, and I will punish the world for their evil, and the wicked for their iniquity, and I will cause the arrogancy of the proud to cease. Right? The Lord is going to cause that proud spirit of Esau, Edom, that nation, that wicked nation, right? He's going to cause it to cease. Also, the proud spirit that 2/3 of our people, have, that they take part in the abominations of this kingdom, right? And are proud with it. Even the scoffers, that mock and try to make the word, how to put it, that try to disannul the Lord's word and twist it, they twist it and make lies of it. In that time it wouldn't be funny. The Lord have a judgment. The Lord have, he had little tricks, little things, little snares that set up for these scoffers and for the wicked. Right? So he said, verse 11, and I will punish the world for the evil and the wicked for the iniquity, and I will cause the arrogancy of the proud to cease, and will lay low the haughtiness of the terrible. Right? I wouldn't go any further down, So yeah, we in that time at the great day of the Lord, it is already here. We in the time of lamentation, mourning and woes, as we see, we watch, the news daily, we see that things getting worse and worse. No matter how these nations, they try to go about to bring peace, it's not holding. It wouldn't hold. Right? And it only have one book, that they could turn to for all the answers, for all the prophecies, all the things that happen. And that is the scriptures, that is the Lord's word, and hearken unto the prophets, the men of the Lord, from Great Millstone, from Apostle Tar, on come down, from the Elder Apostle Tar, starting with the Elder Apostle Tar and come down, right? So, I will cut it, I will stop there, I hope, this video was edifying. I hope it sparked food for thought. Until then, say shalom.